I need you to step away from me if that's okay. I have permission to be here. It's okay. A person. You guys are okay. You guys are okay, I promise. I'm not gonna hurt you guys. I'm not gonna hurt the
I'm not
building.
afraid of you hurting us.
Okay.
We could get fined for letting somebody in the building who doesn't have permission or live
Aww.
here. So
It's okay, I promise. You guys are fine. I have a client. He's calling his way down.
All right, why don't we just call the cops to let them, so.
I'll just call that.
Fortunately, you guys know I have to record for my safety.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It happens. You guys will see the person I'm here with when they come down. Just trying to work, y'all. We got people worried about me instead of going on about their business.
Yeah, that's because the rules are you're not supposed to be in here.
Who made you guys Captain Save a Hoe?
You know, so after watching that interaction, I can tell you that they're both wrong in my opinion. I believe that they both could have approached this situation a whole lot better, and the outcome would have been a whole lot better. But I think this is what happens when there isn't really a whole lot of familiarity between people that come from different backgrounds, right? Now, if I was the hairstylist, I understand her reason for being defensive, because we can judge very, very quickly as far as, like, we can consider probability. What is the probability that this elderly couple would have let a so-called white person into this apartment complex, and they would have stopped and inquired on whether or not that white young woman lived in the complex? The chances is they probably wouldn't have done it at all, right? So that in itself can make us or influence us to become defensive. I know, because I've been in that position before. But if we can rise above that for just a second, man, and think about what it must have been like to come up the way that they come up, and that's important. I don't mind a person inquiring when I'm in a space that I'm new to, and I know that the couple or a person or a group of people they frequent that environment, right? Meaning, if a person approached me, a woman and a man, and they're elderly, and they ask me if I stay in the area, I'm going to try my best to be as respectful as I possibly can, right? And I know that the probability that if I was a 40-year-old, 39-year-old, 38-year-old white man, the chances that they would approach me to inquire whether or not I stayed in the neighborhood isn't likely. But I'm not going to let that get to me, right? My thing is trying to keep the peace, because I understand the culture. In their culture, they communicate amongst one another. They want to make sure that they're able to first recognize and neutralize any threat that may be in their space. Again, they have that type of community. If you've ever been in or lived in the suburbs, you understand that most of the suburb areas are pretty family oriented, and they communicate amongst one another, and they have like block watches. So I wouldn't really even take it personal. I would have said, you know what, I don't mind you guys staying around a little bit, because I don't want you to be fined, and I don't want you to have to worry that you've done something wrong. Like, I don't mind you sitting around until my peoples come down and get me. Right? You neutralize a lot of the bull crap, but again, you have to be familiar with their culture in order to be able to respond in that way and not take it or not become defensive. On the flip side, I would have loved for the elderly couple to say, you know what, man, do you mind if I stay here because I don't want to be fined? Do you mind if I stick around until your people come down to retrieve you? Right? And maybe she doesn't respond proper. And at that point, man, the elderly couple, being understanding, they step off to the side and say, you know what, we don't have to engage in that way. The moment she pull out the phone, you know what I mean, you kind of take a step back and you let her know, listen, I'm not trying to stereotype you. I'm not prejudiced. I'm not a Karen, right? I just want to make sure that I'm not putting myself in a position where I can be fined, or, you know, I've given you access to this building and you don't belong. That's fair. That's fair, man. Right? So again, y'all, this is a perfect example as to why it's important that we learn to communicate with each other and be able to speak each other's language. We have different backgrounds. We come from different upbringings, and we're not always going to see things the same way, right? The thing is, can we rise above our own experiences and be able to see things through the lenses of other people. And it's a tough thing, man, especially when you know that a person is doing something that they wouldn't do if your skin tone was different. But it's no different from the way that we come up, right? And I'm talking about those who come up in marginalized communities, right? They're protective of their communities because they're trying to make sure that crime is kept out. When we're defensive in our neighborhoods, at least in the neighborhood that I come up in and neighborhoods around the neighborhood that I come up in, if you come through there was a time where if you came through our neighborhood and you didn't live around there, man, the chances that you would make it out wasn't likely. Like it was dangerous, man. You know what I mean? So we inquired just like they're inquiring, but we inquired for a totally different reason. We inquired because we were very, very territorial, right? We wasn't trying to keep the community safe. So you have to understand, man, that everybody that inquires, a lot of people, their engagement with so-called African Americans is so small that they allow their belief system to be shaped through television and in the news. And it doesn't make sense to knock them down because of their beliefs. The thing is, when we interact with each other, how good are we at navigating, at being adaptable, at being adjustable, at being flexible, right? That's a skill that we all need. You know, every time somebody responds to a situation that we don't agree with, we whip out our phone and we label a person a Karen. And on the other side, we label a person a thug or a menace. We lose the opportunity, man, to be able to communicate with one another despite differences. It's easy to communicate with a person who see life the same way that you do, right? It takes a little bit more of a patience, right, and grace to communicate with a person that sees things totally different than you do. So again, just you rehearse on what I thought should have happened, and I think it would have changed the outcome, is that if the elderly couple, when they approached the young woman sitting in the lobby that they let in, they did the right thing by saying, listen, we're not trying to give you a hard time. We just don't want to be fined by having somebody come in that don't belong here. They were right on that behalf. But I think that if they would have just simmered it down a bit and just stepped off to the side and said, listen, we don't want to give you a hard time. Do you mind just sitting and waiting while your friend comes down to retrieve you? I think it would have helped out a whole lot. And maybe it didn't, but I think that it would have led to a better outcome. Now, the young woman, a hairstylist, again, man, I really understand her frustration. But if she was able to understand their reasoning behind doing what they were doing, because they expressed it. If she played it from this angle and said, you know what, I'm not going to hurt you. She said that I'm not trying to hurt y'all. They said, well, we know you're not trying to hurt us. We just don't want to be fined. If she would have took from that point and said, you know what, I don't mind you guys waiting. I understand you wanting to make sure that I belong here. So I'm okay with you guys sitting by. Again, it takes maturity. It takes a little bit of experience. So I'm telling anybody that may interact with this recording, this episode, that we're going to encounter people, man, that we don't see things the same way with, right? And it's in those times that our ability to adapt and to adjust and be flexible makes all of the difference in the outcome. I'm interested to hear what y'all got to say about this specific topic, man. Do you believe that if any one of these two sides would have approached it the way that I mentioned, the outcome would have been different? And have you ever been in a situation where you're in an environment where someone is inquiring about you being there and you flipped off, or you responded in a way similar to what I just stated and the outcome was different? If so, man, I want you to drop a message for me, man, and share that with me. I'm interested to hear what y'all got to say about this specific topic. I started full. I'm empty for now. I love y'all. I'll catch y'all next time.